They killed, and then they vanished. No more bodies. No suspects. Just silence. Weeks turned into months. Months into years. Some cases were closed. Others left to rot in dusty cold case files. Police thought they were dead. Families tried to move on. But the killers? They were alive. Watching. Waiting. Blending in. These weren't just murderers. They were ghosts, smart enough, careful enough, and patient enough to almost disappear. But evil doesn't stay buried forever. Welcome back to Prison Stories. In today's episode, we're diving into the lives of serial killers who almost walked away free, hidden in plain sight, protected by time, and nearly forgotten by justice. Dennis Rader, the BTK Killer.
I am BTK. I'm the guy they're after, 100%.
He should have gotten away with it. For more than 30 years, Dennis Rader lived two lives. In public, he was a church president, a loving father, a city compliance officer, strict about rules, obsessive about order. But behind that facade, he was BTK, bind, torture, kill. From 1974 to 1991, he murdered 10 people in Wichita, Kansas. Women, children, even a family of 4. He would stalk them, break into their homes, and unleash horrors that left investigators baffled. Then he vanished. No more taunting letters. No new victims. Just silence. Investigators believed he died, or moved away, or maybe just stopped. And for over a decade, they were right. Rader had settled into a comfortable life, raised kids, paid bills, watched the news as his own crimes faded from public memory. But he couldn't stay quiet. In 2004, 30 years after his first murder, BTK came back. He began sending cryptic messages to the media again. Newspaper clippings, letters, word puzzles. He wanted credit, recognition. And in 2005, he made one critical mistake. He asked police if they could trace a floppy disk. They told him no. They lied. The disk led them straight to a computer at Christ Lutheran Church, where Dennis Rader served as president. When they arrested him, he confessed in chilling detail, methodical, emotionless, proud. If he hadn't sent that disk, he might have lived out the rest of his life as a free man. Dennis Rader almost got away with it, but in the end, his ego gave him up. Joseph James DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer. He slipped through the cracks for over 40 years. He raped, he killed, he vanished. Between 1974 and 1986, he terrorized California under different names. The Visalia Ransacker, the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker. No one knew it was all the same man. He broke into homes while couples slept, tied them up, whispered threats, and then made them suffer. Over 50 rapes, at least 13 murders. Then silence. He stopped. No more crimes. No more letters. The trail went cold. Detectives aged. Victims tried to move on. Some even died before they'd ever get answers. Meanwhile, the man responsible was hiding in plain sight. Joseph James DeAngelo, a former cop, a husband, a father, living a quiet suburban life, mowing his lawn, shopping at the local grocery store, while the state hunted a phantom. For decades, no one could find him, and he would have gotten away with it if it weren't for DNA. In 2018, detectives used genetic genealogy, uploading crime scene DNA to a public ancestry database. They built a family tree. At the end of that tree was a 72-year-old man taking out his trash in Citrus Heights, California. When police arrested him, he muttered one sentence: "I've got a roast in the oven. Cold, ordinary, like nothing had ever happened. But behind that face was the man who had haunted California for decades. Joseph James DeAngelo almost got away with it, but DNA never forgets. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer. They interviewed him. Not once, twice. And both times they let him go. Gary Ridgway didn't hide in the shadows. He didn't disappear. He lived right there in the middle of it all. A quiet factory worker, church-going, low profile, just another face in the crowd. But from 1982 to 1998, he was murdering women, dozens of them, and dumping their bodies near the Green River in Washington state. Many of his victims were sex workers or vulnerable women, people the system didn't protect. And he knew it. That's why he kept getting away with it. The police suspected him early. He even passed a lie detector test in 1984. They collected his DNA and stored it, but the science wasn't ready yet. And Ridgway kept killing. Over the years, his murders slowed down. He got married again. He adapted, controlled his urges. And as time passed, it seemed like the Green River Killer had vanished. Then in 2001, nearly 20 years after his first known murder, forensic technology caught up. The old DNA samples were retested. This time they matched. Gary Ridgway was arrested at work. Calm, collected. In the end, he confessed to 49 murders. But some believe the number is closer to 70 or more. He said killing became his career. Something he did to rid the world of what he called bad girls. Gary Ridgway almost got away with it. And if science had taken just a little longer, he might have. Lonnie Franklin Jr., the Grim Sleeper. For 14 years he stopped. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. From 1985 to 1988, women were found murdered across South Central Los Angeles. Strangled, shot, discarded in alleys. The media dubbed the unknown suspect the South Side Slayer. But as the bodies piled up, the pattern pointed to one man. He killed in bursts. Then he vanished. From 1988 to 2002, not a single known murder. A 14-year silence. Detectives believed he died or been arrested for something else. The trail went cold. But the truth was far more unsettling. He never stopped watching. Lonnie Franklin Jr. lived right in the same neighborhood he had once terrorized. He worked as a city sanitation employee, hosted barbecues, talked to neighbors, and no one suspected a thing. In 2007, new forensic analysis linked DNA from old cases, and by 2010, police had a suspect, but they didn't have his DNA. So they watched his son, collected a discarded pizza crust. The familial match led them to Franklin. Undercover officers later retrieved a piece of his pizza and silverware. The match was undeniable. When police searched his home, they found hundreds of photos, many of women who were never officially identified as victims. Some still don't know how many women he killed. Lonnie Franklin Jr. almost got away with it. If it weren't for a discarded slice of pizza and a second look at long-forgotten evidence, he might have died a free man. Andrei Chikatilo, the butcher of Rostov. He murdered a young girl in 1978. Then nothing. No follow-up. No similar crime. No reason to believe the killer would strike again. And he might not have, if someone else hadn't been executed for murder. A mentally ill man was arrested, interrogated, coerced, and convicted. As far as the Soviet authorities were concerned, the case was closed. Andrei Chicatillo had gotten away with it. For 3 years he stayed quiet, maybe out of fear, maybe to see if the heat would fade. Then in 1981, the killing began again. Over the next decade, he butchered more than 50 people, many of them children and teenagers. He'd lure them to forests or train stations, attack them violently, and leave behind bodies that shocked even hardened investigators. For years, the killings spread across Russia, and no one connected them to the quiet, awkward man who worked for a factory and was once a teacher. He was questioned in 1984 and released. Why? Because his blood type didn't match the semen samples from the crime scenes. They didn't realize Chikatilo had a rare condition. His blood type differed from his bodily fluids. That single detail saved him. He kept killing, until a detective saw him acting suspiciously at a train station. That one observation reopened everything. And this time, police dug deeper. Chikatilo was arrested, confessed, and described the murders in disturbing, obsessive detail. He was eventually convicted of 52 murders. Executed in 1994, Andrei Chikatilo almost got away with it because the wrong man died for his first crime, and because the science at the time couldn't see the truth. Israel Keyes, the perfectionist with a kill kit, he didn't kill in a frenzy. He killed with patience. He would fly across the country, rent a car, drive hundreds of miles, bury a kill kit in the woods, duct tape, zip ties, weapons, tools, then leave, sometimes for years. When he returned, the kit would still be there, untouched. That's when he'd pick a victim. No connection, no motive, nothing investigators could use to build a profile. He robbed banks. He stalked strangers. He killed across multiple states and never left a pattern. Israel Keyes didn't want fame. He didn't care about media. He wanted control. And for a while, he had it. Police had no idea who he was. His crimes weren't connected. And he was smart enough to wait, sometimes years between murders. What stopped him wasn't an investigation. It was a mistake. In 2012, he abducted 18-year-old Samantha Koenig in Alaska. He used her ATM card. Surveillance footage caught a blurry image. Then a white rental car. That's what did it. He was arrested in Texas weeks later. While driving back to Alaska, once in custody, he opened up, calm, calculated. He admitted to at least 11 murders, but refused to name all of his victims. Then, before trial, he killed himself in his cell, leaving behind questions, maps, and sketches. To this day, we still don't know how many people he killed. Israel Keyes almost got away with it. Because he never wanted to be caught, he wanted to disappear between murders. And he was terrifyingly close to doing exactly that. They weren't unstoppable. They weren't supernatural. But for years, some for decades, they slipped through cracks hid in plain sight and watched the world forget what they'd done. They blended in. They got jobs. Some raised families. And if not for one mistake, one pizza crust, one floppy disk, one new forensic breakthrough, they might have died free men. Thanks for watching Prison Stories. If this episode chilled you, subscribe, share, and tell us in the comments. Which of these killers do you think came closest to getting away?